Hey, this is Dave Espino on the Daily Hustle, and today I want to talk about social media. In a video last week, I talked about how you want to stay away from arguments on Facebook because they're really a lose-lose situation. They're a situation where you're going to lose, the person you're arguing with is going to lose, but most importantly, it's going to affect your attitude and it's going to take up a lot of your time. Sometimes it takes up a lot more time than you thought it was going to take, right? Because arguments go on and on and on and on. They just develop, then other people pile on, and it develops a life of its own. Well, this is similar and related to that topic, and that is unfollow Facebook friends who affect you in a negative way. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay? I had to unfollow a Facebook friend of mine who was actually a relative. Now, it doesn't mean I unfriended that person, but I unfollowed them. So you can still remain friends on Facebook, but you just don't see their posts as they come up. A lot of people are toxic, okay? Meaning their attitude, their way of thinking, the things they spew out onto the internet are just toxic. They're not healthy for you to read. They're not healthy for, obviously, definitely for them to live, right? This particular relative, she was a young person, and she used the F word constantly in her posts, like just constantly, and a few other, colorful words as well. And I'm not a big prude about, profanity or anything like that, but it was to the point where it was getting to me a lot. I was starting to see it, and it would just bring me down, it would bring my kind of my spirit down, and it just wouldn't feel right. I just wouldn't feel good seeing that this person was spouting off this profanity. I knew right away what I needed to do. I needed to unfollow that person. I don't unfriend people because you never know. There's always value in having, Facebook friends, and, unless they're just a whole nother level, right? But that's one example of what you can do and how you can unfollow rather than unfriend somebody who's, they're close, they're family, but you don't want to necessarily see that stuff pop up in your Facebook feed where it brings you down. It lowers your attitude. It lowers kind of the way that you're focusing and you're working on things. So that's one example. Here's another example. I've got another Facebook friend who just asks some inane questions all the time. They ask questions that no one should be asking online, and they ask a lot of questions. I think they're trying to build, socializing online, which is what social media is supposed to be about. But the questions that are asked and the topics that are brought up are just so they're inconsequential. They don't have any consequence. They're not serious. They're not at a high level. They don't intrigue, the mind, and they're not useful, bottom line. Really what they are, let me put it this way, is they are a waste of time. So the first example was a lowering of my spirit, a lowering of my attitude. It affected my attitude, so I unfollowed. The second example was wasting my time, so I unfollowed in that circumstance. And then, of course, there are often people who maybe are overly opinionated when it comes to politics, or overly opinionated when it comes to whatever is happening in the world, and they just keep badgering and badgering and badgering and posting about it and posting about it. Those are examples of people that you want to unfollow. You still remain their friend, but you just unfollow them. Look, it's so important that you realize you're in control of your attitude, and you need to be in control of your attitude, meaning take control of your attitude. This means that anything in media, whether it's social media on the internet, whether it's TV, whether it's news, and which I call the bad news, right? Oftentimes the local news is the bad news. It's just showing all the bad things that are happening in your local area. No matter what it is that can cause you to lower your positivity, that can cause you to affect your spirit in a negative way, or that can take up too much of your time in an unnecessary fashion, wipe all that stuff clean. Get rid of it. Unfollow. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it anymore. You need to work on being positive all the time. Work on keeping your attitude at a positive level. Now, if you're in your free time, you've done all your work for the day and you just want to lollygag on the internet and do whatever, totally fine. I believe that's totally fine. I enjoy some just good fun stuff online as well, right? But when you're in the thick of it, like when you're working your business during the day, if that's when you work your business, whenever your work hours are, guard your mind, protect yourself, protect your spirit, your attitude, your positivity. Keep it at a high level. Don't allow distractions of any kind to affect your focus and to affect your flow, because all of that affects your momentum and your income. I'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Hustle.